Hi, it's Chris. In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and reinstall the upper hinge on your Samsung refrigerator. Now, removing and reinstalling the hinge is actually very easy to do. It only requires a few basic hand tools: Phillips screwdriver, a blade screwdriver, and a 10mm socket and ratchet wrench. Keep in mind, if your machine needs to be repaired, it's usually simple enough to do it yourself. Visit PartSelect.com, enter your model number, and quickly find and order the part you need. So some of the reasons you're maybe looking at having to replace the hinge on your Samsung refrigerator is perhaps at some point over time the fridge may have been overloaded or more weight put on it than it should have been. Sometimes we've had to change them in times when maybe the kids got a little rambunctious and they were actually hanging on the door itself and bent the hinge. When that happens, it's just a matter of replacing the hinge, so it's not a big deal to do. So in order to remove the upper hinge on your Samsung refrigerator, we're going to need to remove this access cover. Now, it's pretty easy to do. We're just going to need a Phillips screwdriver to remove 3 screws. One here in this corner, one in the other corner, and there's one right here in the center. And these screws, you don't have to worry about taking them out of those positions. Just remove the screw. One here in the center. And the last one here on the far side. Now this allows us to remove this cover, and inside this cover, as well as the hinge, there's going to be a little circuit board, there's a wiring harness. Now you don't have to do anything as far as disconnecting, you're just going to be moving it out of the way. So having this cover out of the way now, we can see the 3 10mm bolts that are holding the hinge and connecting it to the cabinet. So in order to remove the hinge, because it does go down and lock into the door itself, we need to remove this access cover. And that's easy to do. You're just going to need a small blade screwdriver, and you're just going to insert it into these slots and apply a little pressure so it releases the locking tabs, and just work your way along, and you can see it just allows you to lift this cover panel right out of place. And now that that's removed, we can just set it to one side. So with that cover removed, we can now see the wire that runs through the top of the door that has a door switch in it. It tells the board that when the door is open or closed. So we have to remove this cover that goes over the hinge itself that has this wire on it. So I'm just going to take my small blade screwdriver and I'm just going to insert it into these little channels to release this cover. And then I'll just pop the wire out of that little notch so I can set that to one side. As you can see, that now frees up this wire. So this wire actually goes to a harness with a connector. So we're just going to disconnect this wiring connector by squeezing this locking tab and pulling it apart. Now this harness can be free and separate. So with the harness removed, all we need to do now is remove these 3 10mm screws. So I'm just going to loosen all 3 of these. Now we've already removed any product that was sitting on the inside of the door, so we don't have to worry about that. And when we take the door off, nothing's going to fall out on the floor. I'm going to remove the last bolt, and I'm just keeping my hand on the door itself. The magnet should certainly hold the door in place, but I just keep my hand on it so that when I go to loosen this last one right out and go to lift off the hinge, that the door doesn't take off on me. So there, with the bolts removed, now we can easily remove the hinge for a replacement. So now to install the new hinge, it's just a matter of bringing it into place and setting the pin down into the door itself. So then just bring your hinge into place, lower the pin. Now that that's in place, you'll want to take your 10mm bolts and put them into position. Use the ratchet wrench and just snug these down. Now that we have that secured, this is the ideal time now to take our wiring harness, bring it up and make this connection. And it simply goes to sliding that connector into place. Bring in our wiring harness cover. Set that down into place. And this cover simply provides protection and a passage for this wire to come from your door and come back around and come out to the harness where we made our connection. So now that that's in place, we can put our trim piece over this to hide all this wiring. Set it down in, and then you simply just need to apply a little bit of pressure to push those locking tabs into position. There, snaps in just that easy. So now all we have left to do is to bring our cover back into position and now secure it with the 3 screws that are sitting down in those wells. Our cover is secured. So there you go. You can see just how easy it is to replace the upper hinge on your Samsung refrigerator.